We are live, Cali X Boxing, D-Style Boxing with HCPX. It's been a minute. It's good to be back. It's good to be back behind the microphone. Has some things to take care of. And 2 weeks away. It's good to be back. D-Style Boxing. What's been going on?
Hey, look, I'm just chilling. It's good to be back. HCPX. I mean, HCP has so many changes. It's crazy, bro. We're like in different eras by the week almost. You know what I mean? So HCP is back. And HCP was on last week as well, but Calix was missing. But 408 joined me to do an interview with Jesus Ramos. She plugged. Make sure you guys check that one out. He'll be in the undercard of the Canelo-Jermell Charlo fight.
Shakur is being ducked again. Let's just get right into it. Is he the most avoided fighter in the sport? Let's just start off there. Is he the most avoided fighter in the sport?
As of right now, yes. And I think fans need to do your due diligence, in my opinion. Let me just say a couple of things. I believe you're going to call me delusional, probably, right? But I think there's a chance the Martin fight might happen. I think he's holding off for more money. I think they might offer it to him, right? I think he's holding Top Rank hostage a little bit for the fight, and I think he's either gonna break or Top Rank's gonna break. But I think we'll end up getting a fight. I think by the end of the year, Martin Stevenson. I think it happens.
You were right. I am gonna call you delusional.
You don't think it happens?
There's delusion. No, I don't think it's gonna happen.
You don't think it's just holding off for more money?
When I first heard Shakur versus Frank Martin was gonna happen, I was like, all right, maybe they just think Frank Martin's expendable, 30-year-old prospect, but I'm getting Peter Quillen vibes now. It's like, no. You're not going to fight that title shot. We got another title shot for you down the line. Just hold on. We're going to keep you in this PBC bubble. We're not going to – they've seen the record, D-Style. PBC versus Top Rank. What happens when they decide to take these PBC fighters outside of their comfy little bubble here and move them to Top Rank, have them fight these crossover fights? What happens, D-Style? What happens? They lose. Do you think
that's the B team, though? That's the B team. Martin's part of the B team. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like that's the perfect fight to make. That's when you throw them out there. Like, here's a reality, Calix. They threw Fulton, who held 2 belts. Martin didn't even have a belt. This guy he was a unified champ, and they threw him in there with Monster Inoue, bro. They threw him in there with Monster. And do you remember when they threw him in there with Monster? What happened? So I think this is very possible. I'm not losing hope on this fight. I like the pressure the fans are putting. You know what I mean? Give him that pressure to help make the fight happen. But I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to fall under pressure a little bit. I think.
What did he make last fight? Like $100K, something like that. That's what this guy's
got to cash out. He's going to cash out.
And then, why not cash out for the $1 million they're already giving him? 1.1. This dude's making like
they give him another.
He's getting like 1,000% increase on pay. Everybody knows he's going to lose to Shakur.
You got to hold out. Hey, in this world, Calix, like these type of moments don't come often. You know what I mean? If you can make an extra, 50,000, 100,000, they might give it to him.
Give me a break.
Like, I think it's going to happen.
It's cap. You're capping. The fight is not going to happen.
So who's Shakur going to fight?
I don't know who Shakur is going to fight. You think Frank Martin's worried about that? He's going to fight the Dominican dude. What's the Dominican dude that's up next? And then Bob would be like, they can promote him now as the most avoided fighter in the sport. Just mow some guys down, whatever. But my thing is, now, PBC will do this. They will say, nope, not that title shot. You're going to lose that fight. It's not going to happen. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you back on this minor league lightweight circuit that they got going on. It's not, you're not going to fight Shakur. You're not going to fight Lomachenko. You're not going to fight any of those guys.
Give
If
it a
Devin
Tank
was at
then?
135, you're not going to fight Devin Haney. So here's what they're going to do. They're going to say, Tank Davis is here. He's at the top of our minor league circuit right here. We got Isaac Cruz. We got Frank Martin. Hey, we can either do you versus Tank next, or we can do Tank versus Isaac Cruz, and then you fight somebody else, and then you get the Tank fight next. That'll be the title shot for you. Tank versus Frank Martin, and they can keep this little bull crap going at lightweight. They already got him at top 10. They already got Tank at top 10 pound for pound on major publications, D-Style, without even fighting anybody. They're going to keep this thing going and going as long as they can. They're going to keep Isak in there. They're going to keep Frank Martin in there. They're going to keep all their little lightweights in there as fish food for Tank Davis until one day, if we're lucky, Tank Davis finally fights somebody. That's what we're going to get here. That's what's happening. And Frank Martin's not going to fight Shakur Stevenson. It's not going to happen. And oh, by the way, if he does, he gets 120 to 108. That's what's going to happen.
I'm not disagreeing on who wins that fight. That's not even my argument. My argument is I do believe he understands Shakur's situation. Lomachenko turned him down. Cambosos doesn't want to fight him. Zepeda turned him down. A lot of guys have turned him down. Right?
Correct.
Haney's not in a rush to fight him. Haney went up in division. We'll talk about that later. But he understands that he's running out of options. He gets that. And I believe he's doing it. It's a chess move. I think he's maneuvering the chessboard a little bit to garner more money from Top Rank. I think that's what he's doing. And I think you might call it a bluff, but I think that's what he's doing. And if either or happens, if they call this bluff and say, no, we're not going to give you more money, he might end up taking it anyway. Or they end up giving him more money and we get the fight. And either way, I don't care as long as we get the fight.
Let me be on record here. When they announced Shakur versus Frank Martin, I was like, all right, I don't see it. I don't see it. But even if it happens, I'm not that excited about the fight, to be honest, because I don't think it's a competitive fight. I mean, is there really a big difference between Frank Martin and De Los Santos, somebody like that? I think it's the same type of competition. I just don't think Frank Martin's that good of a fighter, number one. It's tough for me to sit back here and watch. This is what really irks me. This is what really
he's a good fighter. It's just he's not as good as Shakur, but he's not a good fighter. He's a good fighter.
Come on, he's a good fighter. He's Peter Quillen. Like they did the same thing with Peter Quillen. It's like, no, not that title shot. You get and then Peter Quillen just disappears one day. They build these guys up as, top guys in their division, and then they just disappear one day once they get outside their bubble. They get their cash out fights. That's Frank Martin right now. That's Frank Martin. But this is what really irks me right here. This really irks me as a boxing fan. Why is it? And it seems like nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Why can't we ask for, why is it just assumed that Tank can't fight Shakur? Why is it just assumed that Tank can't fight Devin? Why is it just assumed that Tank
I'll tell you why. I'll answer it the way.
But listen to me before you give your opinion. It's just it seems like it's just assumed at this point. Like everybody just stopped asking because no, you can't ask that because we all know Tank's is going to go over there and fight that fight. Why is this acceptable? Why is this acceptable behavior?
First of all, it's only acceptable behavior with Tank fans and with apologists of fighters that duck, right? That it's only acceptable with those type of fans. The reality is this, Calic. The boxing fan has been brainwashed to believe, okay, that cross-promotional fights cannot happen unless they happen under the A side's time and the A side's discretion, right? And if it's not under those circumstances, it's not even worth bringing up because you got to know the business of boxing. And the business of boxing, it doesn't make sense. If you look at the risk versus reward, why would he fight Shakur, a dangerous opponent that could outbox him? He could make, millions fighting, a lot easier opposition. I mean, come on, Calix. It's a business, Calix. Like, you know what the answer they're going to give you. You know what they're going to say. It's predictable what they're going to say. But what we need to do, a point I was going to make earlier is this. If Martin isn't holding off and doesn't fight Shakur, it is a duck. All right? And I'll call it a duck. I'm not going to say the following. I'm not going to say, oh, it's not him. Fighters never duck. That's an absolute statement, which is stupid. Okay? Fighters do duck. Fighters are the captain of their ship. Fighters can call for fights to happen. You don't need to be a big name guy like Canelo to do it because Fulton did it. I don't want to hear any of this dumb shit anymore. I cannot. I refuse to allow these guys, Calix, to use Al Heyman as a crutch. And the people that don't like Al Heyman, that bring him up all the time, it's Al Heyman's fault. Al Heyman is doing this. Well, you're giving these fighters an out. If you allow Al Heyman to take the fall, a guy that's never on camera, never does interviews, and nobody even knows what he talks like, if you let him take the fall, then his fighters never need to take the fall. That's why they never get a lot of criticism. At the end of the day, Tank Davis doesn't want to fight these top guys, bro, because he knows what's up. You know what I mean? Like he can. I understand it, but I don't like it. And I think that Calix, the boxing world rewarded Tank with a 1.2 million buy pay-per-view by fighting Ryan Garcia. Why the fuck would he fight Shakur Stevenson? If the boxing world's going to reward certain behavior, you're going to get certain behavior. It's called enabling. Tank has been enabled to do what he does. You see it, right?
So let's start off here. Do you think at the top, I asked, do you think Shakur is the most avoided fighter in the sport? Do you think that's the case?
Yes. 100%.
Because now we're at Isak, we're at Zepeda, we're at Kambosos. Lomachenko, there's this stuff going on in Ukraine. I don't know how serious that is or not, if he would have fought this year regardless, whether we want to give him a pass or not. I don't know, but just add him to the list. And then Frank Martin here. It just seems to me like Shakur is the guy that nobody wants to go anywhere around. And Shakur is going to have to fight more often, I believe, and continue to fight in Newark. That's an important part here because he's done close to 11,002 straight fights in Newark. That's good. That's good. Like at that point, if you're fighting 3 times per year and you're drawing 10,000 plus per fight, then you can start to lure guys in. And on top of that, you get a vacant belt. So possibly a guy will want to fight for a vacant belt at that point. I don't know. But you got to stay in people's faces. And he's at the point right now where guys don't feel like he's worth the risk, the reward of fighting him because they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose the fight. But I've been around long enough, D-Style, to know that nobody out there is unbeatable. You know, Floyd ends undefeated, but there are fights we say, oh, you know what? I think he kind of lost that fight. I think he could have lost that fight. The Castillo fight, of course, being one of them. Andre Ward, we feel like he probably lost the first Kovalev fight. Each guy, Calzaghe had fights where you're like, you know, I don't know if he won the Bernard Hopkins fight. That Kessler fight was kind of close. I've been around long enough to know that nobody is unbeatable. And at what point have we reached a new point in boxing? And I hate to even bring this up because I know what the guys are going to do out there. They're going to be like, oh, we're having such a great year in boxing. Why are you complaining? But have we reached a point where nobody wants to take, or rarely any boxer wants to take a chance?
Let me say this. Shout out to Tony Boswell, by the way, and all you guys, Nando, Chicano, all you guys. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate the support. Look, let's talk about, because this will answer a lot of what you're asking. So let's talk about ducking in general, right? Why do fighters duck? And why is there pushback on the term duck by some boxing fans? I'll tell you what it is, okay? And part of it I understand, Calix, okay? First of all, is a term ducking overused? Yes, right? People overuse it. Like, there's no doubt about that. 100%. Like people accuse Canelo of ducking everybody. Like, you know, people accuse a lot of fighters of ducking. Oh, that's a duck. This is a duck. Quack, quack, quack. Yes. However, but there is ducking though. It's ridiculous to say everyone ducks, and it's also ridiculous to say no one ducks. There is a certain level of ducking going on, but what is the ducking, right? I think people need to understand what it is. It's not fear. I don't think Frank Martin's scared or trembles at the thought of Shakur Stevenson. If he ran into Stevenson at Walmart right now, right? He's not gonna, Alex. He's not gonna be like, oh my God, Stevenson. Like, you know what I mean? Like he'll probably, bro. There's fighters that got it knocked out. They'll still walk up to a dude that knocked them out of the lobby. They ain't gonna be scared because fighters aren't wired that way. I do agree with that. When people say fighters are not scared and they don't tremble at confrontation. Now, there's some, even that has exceptions. I think Spinks looks scared of me against Dyson, for example, right? So that's whatever. But I'm talking about like a phobia fear. Like, oh my God, like that's not what it is. You know what it is? You see, they're partially right. Yes, it's a business decision, of course. However, if someone makes a business decision and says, I don't like my chances with Shakur Stevenson, and I don't like the reward you're going to give me to take that chance. So I'm going to avoid that fight altogether and go fight somebody else that I have a better chance and that gives me an equal or better reward. If a fighter makes that decision, they have ducked Shakur Stevenson. You can say it's a smart duck. You can say it was a wise move. You can say, hey, he just didn't feel ready, so that's why he ducked him. You can say whatever you want, but I don't care how many feelings it hurts. That's a duck. That's what that is, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, Calix, if that was George Kambosos with a guaranteed WBC title shot, Frank, for the same amount of money, Frank Martin takes that fight. There's no doubt in my mind. If that's that old dude that Raleigh just fought, okay, that was putting hands on Raleigh, okay, even though I get that was at 140, but let's pretend it was at 135. Frank Martin takes that fight. If that was Raleigh Romero, Frank Martin takes that fight. If that was almost anybody else in the lightweight division, Frank Martin takes that fight. Period. Because in order for Frank Martin to show he's not ducking, he has to take on a greater challenge than Shakur. Very similarly to what was the pass a lot of people gave Jermell, right, when it came to Tim Tszyu? Well, he's going to 168 to fight Canelo, right? So even though I'm kind of iffy about that one myself, but still, if Frank Martin doesn't fight Shakur, who the fuck is he going to fight to show I was in ducking? Look, I'm going to fight this guy. Who's he going to fight? Who? There's nobody.
You talking about Shakur?
No, I'm talking about Frank Martin. Who the hell is he going to fight to prove to people that he didn't duck Shakur if he doesn't fight Shakur?
That's what the only person is Tank Davis. That's it.
But even if he fights Tank, I think Shakur's a better fighter than Tank.
There's no doubt he is. There's no doubt, but that would be acceptable to the boxing world. It would. It would be. That's the reality of the situation.
People would say, if I'm honest, they would say, what would they say, Kyle? Well, look, he's making a lot more money fighting, the bigger draw. He's from 1.2. Why wouldn't he take that fight? So you're right about that. But the question is, when is Tank going to fight Frank Martin?
Yeah, that's an important question to ask. Shout out to Nando Yamas, $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you for coming through always. Said months ago, Top Rank messed up not letting Shakur go first versus Haney for undisputed. Now Shakur don't have enough leverage like Bud for years. And it does kind of resemble Bud at 147. There's no doubt about that. And kind of ironic, they're BFF, Top Rank. Top Rank in a PBC rich division as of right now, anyway, with Haney moving up and Lomachenko kind of taking a hiatus. Let's play out this scenario real quick. If Devin Haney is presented with Shakur before Lomachenko, does Devin Haney take the Shakur fight? I think that's a fair question too. Would Devin Haney stick around at 135 for undisputed to defend against Shakur Stevenson instead of Lomachenko? I think that's a fair question. I kind of think he wouldn't. I think the 25% offer proves that Haney doesn't really want to fight Shakur either. And if he does fight him, he wants to get paid handsomely for it as sort of a cash out, right? Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's just a frustrating scenario we have at lightweight. And I'll tell you what I think could be a fix here for boxing fans and major publications to where we can sort of, we're not going to fix things, but we can sort of call it like we see it. And maybe that'll wake up some fighters. How about we just rank Shakur Stevenson #1 at lightweight? How about we just do that? Hey, if this guy #2 doesn't want to fight him, if the #1 guy sends him a 25% offer, #2 guy, let's call Tank the #2 guy, doesn't even mention his name, and we can't even ask for that fight. If the #3 guy is in Ukraine doing whatever he's doing, can't fight for the rest of the year, how about we just call Shakur the lightweight champion? How about we do that? I mean, I understand a guy like me, people might be saying, hey, it's a little hypocritical because you put a lot into Undisputed. But I think it gets to a certain point where, all right, this is terminal at this point. The lightweight division, none of these dudes want to fight Shakur. I'm just going to call him the lightweight champion at this point. Why not just do that? Let's just everybody rank Shakur #1. Nobody wants to fight him. There's got to be a reason nobody wants to fight him. It's my argument as to why Bud was the best welterweight for 5 years. Even though he didn't have the resume, it's nobody wants to fight the guy. There's two ways for us to rate fighters, right? It's how their peers think about them. It's how their power brokers, their managers behave towards them. So if Shakur's managers, if his handlers want to put him in every fight out there, and Tank handlers don't, and Devin handlers not as much, then why not just make Shakur the champion? Let's just do it. Let's just call Shakur, and I'm going to do it going forward. Until I see otherwise, I'm just going to call Shakur.
We can't do that, though. We can't. We can't.
And why? Explain.
Because he's not the champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, boxing is a very matter-of-fact sport, isn't it? Like you need to beat the champion or get a belt to be a champion.
Let me word it differently. I'm going to call him the #1 fighter at lightweight. That's what I'm going to
like that. Okay, I could see that. You know what
I'm going to call him the best lightweight in the world.
He's going to become champion, though. Like he's his next fight, he's going to, whoever he fights, it's going to be for the WBC belt, right? So it's inevitable what's going to happen, right? And I agree with you on the Tank thing, and a lot of this though is this mentality that it's not just like specific to Tank, Alex, in terms of, why can't we ask Tank to fight these guys? Why can't that happen? Why can't they work together? Like look at Wilder and Fury work together, and they were in two different camps. Like they worked together with Ryan Garcia on his own to make a fight happen. Why are we closing off a fight with like PBC has worked with ESPN before? Why do fans shut it down automatically? It's like so quick. I get all that, but it's also this like. Have you noticed by now that there's been a pattern? Like people just kind of accept that it's okay for PBC fighters to hold out. That they could hold out like for as long as they want, and it's perfectly acceptable.
I've spoken about that. Like it's, and I hate doing this because I'm called the PBC hater guy.
Yeah, but let me finish this point really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There used to be guys that used to criticize Floyd Mayweather for being an inactive fighter. Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of these dudes, they're still doing shows out here, and they used to have YouTube channels and or still do, obviously, right? But like they would say things about Floyd. Or Floyd's an inactive fighter, bro. Floyd's retirement between the Haddon and the Marcus fight, it's like a normal, like in between fight for Errol Spence. Perfectly like that's how long Errol Spence fights between fights.
Yep.
Like Jermall is an extreme example. I don't even have to go to Jermall. I can go to Jermell. That dude hasn't fought since May of last year. Like there was dude that wouldn't even talk about Floyd because he was an inactive fighter, even though Floyd fought at least once a year and consistently twice a year at one point. But now we have a situation where PBC fighters stay completely inactive for over 12 months as a norm. When is the last time Ugas fought? When's the last time he fought?
Yeah. He's fighting on the undercard, but
when's the last time Thurman? These guys would have been considered retired 10 years ago. Like, it's insane how long they've been off. And they're allowed to keep belts, they're allowed to stick around. But then, like, people don't see their own hypocrisy, and they don't see their own, like, bias towards the PBC narrative that they got going, right? Because, look, guys like Canelo get accused of holding up divisions, even though the guys fought like 7 times in 3 years. That he beat like 3 of the champions. He beat Smith, Billy Joe, and Plant in 9 months, and 3 of the title holders. But he's holding up the division. Think about how ridiculous. But the PBC guy, Benavides, didn't unify or fight anybody for years. his promoter. Well, I'll do it with a wink because he's not really his promoter. It's a puppet promoter, but it's officially his promoter on paper. Samson bragged about how he was marinating the Plant fight. So I have evidence to suggest they purposely didn't do that fight. But nobody else could do this, Calix. Like, Eddie Hearn cannot keep guys every 15, 16 months and get away with it. Like Arum doesn't do it out of habit. Like, Top Rank just doesn't really do that. Like, they don't keep guys in the shelf that long because they make money off the guys, so they want them fighting, right? The whole dynamic with Al Heyman fighters and PBC and how inactive they are and how people have they've grown accustomed to it without knowing it and have just tolerated it, right? Like a norm. And it all goes back to, and I hate going back to Canelo, but I'm going to do it. People never got our point when we were saying, why can't Benavides go to the Zona fight?
yes.
They never understood the point. Till this day, they don't get it. Like, they don't even get what that was about, bro.
Mm-mm.
Right? And I had a conversation with Joe Abib on the phone the other day, and he told me, he's like, no, I get what you meant now. Yeah. But like here's the thing, okay? It was about the principle of it. Why is this non-draw calling the shots on where Canelo's going to go fight him? But Canelo's a free agent. I know that. He can go to PBC. I know that. I think we both said he's more than likely going to go to PBC. Right? So we knew that was he was likely going to do. But that was not what the argument was. It was a bigger issue. Right? My thing is this. What Fulton did is not the norm. That's not the norm.
But it should be.
But this should be the norm. What Fulton did, right, and saying, no, I want to go fight this dude's moving up to my division. He's a big name in Japan. I want to beat him. I want to fight this. I believe I could beat him. Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't win, but I give the guy a lot of credit for trying. You know what I mean? I do. And I don't want to hear, oh, he only did it because there was money over there. There's a lot of money for Frank Martin to make. Is he going to cross? There's a lot of money that these PBC guys, like a lot of people forget. PBC offered Plant the fight first. $10 million, come to the zone, he held out. And they tried to get Canelo on a long-term contract, and he negotiated a one-fight deal. He ended up going to PBC to do it, right? But to me, it's just this privileged position that people have given the PBC fighters that everything needs to come, like all roads need to go through them. Crawford had to go over there. It was the only acceptable scenario for anybody. You know, they could have done it. They could have co-promoted it with ESPN. And if they had ESPN and PBC, Showtime behind it, it might have done $1 million, right? If they had the full machine behind it. But Crawford had to let go of everything in order to, and guess what, Calix? Even then, he had to call, like even Spence was saying, like they wanted me to fight Keith Thurman. I had to tell him, no, do it. Let's just do the Bud fight already. Fucking crazy, bro. And then looking now, and one more point. I know I've been going on a rant, but one more point.
Go ahead.
Maybe if Benavidez' team would have done this, and you tell me you disagree, the chat can tell me they disagree or not. If Benavidez would have come out, and Benavidez Sr. and Samson and all of them would have come out, but mainly Benavidez himself, the fighter, David. If David would have come out, he would have said, yo, I know we got Showtime and PBC over here, but I'm just going to put it out there. Yo, Canelo, I'll go to Matchroom to fight you. I'll go over there. I saw what my mom Fulton from PBC just did. I'll do the same shit. I'll go over there if you want me. You feel more comfortable over there, Canelo? I'll go over there, buddy. I'll go over there. I know you're trying to do that Bivol fight. Do the one fight contract with them. And if Bivol doesn't want it, I'll go over there. That's what he should have done.
Shout out to Andre Rodriguez for the $3 super sticker. Appreciate you. Also appreciate Teresa D, who you down with, HCP. I appreciate y'all. And I missed being behind this microphone more than you guys know. I had, before I segue into more boxing topics, I had to segue, do some stuff with the kids, get them set up with school, sports, etc. the past couple of weeks. So good to be back behind the microphone and doing HCP again. And we're back to regularly scheduled program going forward, starting today. So good news for everybody involved. And appreciate y'all for coming through in the super stickers and the super chats. But just to address some things D-Style just said, and I've spoken about them for a while. Let's start here. It's tough to navigate as boxing fans because let's take the Inoue fight. And his opponent is given a lot of credit for leaving America and going over to Japan. Why? In particular, because he's a PBC fighter, and we know, and I've spoken about this, and I hate being this guy because I'm going to be called the PBC hater, but PBC fighters don't know what it's like to travel to a fight, look down and see an ocean. They just do not know. So Stephen Fulton Jr. travels there. And what's the message from boxing fans across the board? It's, oh my God, Stephen Fulton Jr., look at how he's daring to be great. He's doing, and foreign fighters do this all the time, number one. And number two, I have to praise a guy like Stephen Fulton Jr. now, not only because I'm a fan of the guy, but because he did something that nobody's willing to do right now. But my point is, and this is why there's nuance and why it's tough to navigate, is we shouldn't be praising guys for doing their job. He's doing his job. That's what you're supposed to do. The fight belongs in Japan. It doesn't belong in America. And I'm battling with dudes online while I'm praising Stephen Fulton Jr., and this is why it requires nuance and multitasking. While I'm praising the guy, I'm telling the PBC fighters out there, the fans out there, because they're saying, why didn't the fight, why isn't it in America? Why is it at 5:30 in the morning here in America, and why is it overseas? Why is it in Japan in front of the Asian audience? It's like, dude, look at what he's making there. Look at how he's treated when he goes over there. And he fights in Minnesota and he does a $51,000 live gate. Nobody even knows where this dude's from. He hasn't fought in Pennsylvania in 6 years. That's how crappy of a job you've done promoting him. Of course he's going to Japan. That's where the fight belongs. And I shouldn't have to praise fighters for doing what they should be doing. It should be expected for a guy like Stephen Fulton Jr. to go to Asia and try to win that title. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is the reason we were asking that question, D-Style, is Benavidez willing? Is he willing to go over to DAZN and fight Canelo? The reason we're asking this question is because I've talked about this narrative for a couple of years now. Is why is it that when the top-ranked fighter is the B-side, the matchroom fighter is the B-side? It's expected if they're the B side, they do what the A side fighter is asking if it's cross promoted. But when it comes to the PBC guy, Frank Martin's clearly the B side against Shakur Stevenson, for example. But when Caleb Plant was the B side to Canelo, it was expected that Canelo, the ultimate A side, is going to go over to Showtime and fight Caleb Plant.
Like just reverse the scenarios, bro. Like I want people to understand this, okay? If Canelo was already with PBC, let's say, do you remember like when they all left Oscar, like Canelo's the only one that stayed? Let's say Canelo would have left too. So he was also a PBC fighter, right? Let's just say. And Plant just happens to be like a DAZN guy with Eddie Hearn. And he had the IBF belt. Like, let's just play pretend. And that was the only belt Canelo needed. But he was now a free agent, Canelo. Nobody would be arguing that this dude needs to go to the zone to go fight, to go chase Caleb Plant. Nobody. Nobody would be saying he needs to sign a multi-fight deal with Eddie because he had that's what he did with PBC. That's the type of things people were saying. For whatever reason, and I think there's several reasons for this, people just accept that everyone needs to go fight the PBC guys, right? Everyone needs to be willing to, like, if you're a free agent, it's on you to go over there all of a sudden. But it was never on Canelo to do that. It's what people need to understand.
Benavidez could have came up for free agency, but he signs an extension.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing. If Benavidez would have insisted, even knowing he was a free agent and all that, right? If he would have said, no, like, look, man, I don't know if he's going to sign with PBC or not, but if he doesn't, I'll go over there. Like whatever. I'll go over there to fight this dude because I know I could beat him. And I'll bring the belts over here to PBC. You know what I mean? I'll beat Canelo, become a star. I'll come over to PBC and we'll do our thing. Whatever, right? I think he had a better chance of getting a fight that way. Because the reason I'm saying that is Fulton got the fight that way. If Fulton insisted, no. This Chinese dude, I'm American. I'm with PBC. You need to come over here. This is where it's at. And don't laugh because people were saying that.
I know they were.
Those dudes said, like you got to come to PBC. Okay, you foreigner, you Japanese nobody. Got to come over here. They're like that Mexican Canelo needs to come over here and fight us. I got Showtime on my side. Who the fuck you got? Who's that Ricky Dink Japanese promoter you got? Come on, man. I'm with Showtime. It's Showtime. We got Jimmy Lennon over here. We got Jim Gray over here. We got Al Bernstein. We got 60 years or whatever it is of 30, 40 years of experience. This is where it's at. That makes me the A side. So you need to come over here to fight me, right? Guess what? A lot of people would have argued about it. There would have been a lot of debates about it, but people would have argued and fought over it, but you know who wouldn't have fought? Fulton and Inoue wouldn't have fought. The fight doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's likely that maybe there's a chance Inoue goes over there, but I doubt it, right? So all I'm saying is this. Now, you ever hear that saying, so close yet so far away? Canelo signed a 3-fight deal with PBC. First fight, it's just funny how like everyone just knew it wasn't going to be Benavidez, right? After months of like, we offered the fight with the A side over here, like Sam. we call the shots with a new sheriff.
You better be careful. You're gonna be called a fanboy. I'm just telling you.
They give away tickets to the fight with Golovkin. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There's a new sheriff in town.
There's a new sheriff in town. Like, okay, whatever. Okay, cool. Hey, he believes in this fight. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? Samson believes in this dude. Okay, but people just agreeing with it, and like they were sounding the drums, and rah. Canelo doesn't want the fight. He's gonna fight Berlanga. He's gonna fight Bivol in a rematch. He's gonna do everything but Benavidez. No roadblocks. And then those same dudes, as soon as he signed the PBC, he ain't gonna fight Benavidez. But I understand though, because boxing's a business, and you want to marinate that fight, set it up for next year. He's gonna fight Jamal. They're okay. I wasn't okay with Jamal, but they were okay with Jamal. You know what I mean? I was like, Jamal, you're gonna fight Jamal? Like what the fuck? Like, Jamal, that's a good fight. I like the fight. You like the fight. But the Benavidez just came out and said it was it's a good fight. Yeah. It's good to have Canelo on PBC. It's good to have him in the team, and like we're all gonna eat. Like what the fuck's going on over here? Can you imagine if they made a movie like that? Imagine if that's how Clubber Lang approached Rocky. You know what I mean? That woman. Tell your man to come to PBC. You woman, like, the fuck? Rocky, I'll fight you, but you gotta come to Showtime. Gotta come to me, Rocky. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? He went at the champ. You go at the champ. You attack the champ. You block all roads that the champ could slither away. You block all of them.
You do what Shakur's doing. Shakur's petitioning every sanctioning body he could possibly get in front of. He's saying, I want to fight him. I want to fight him. I want to fight. You do what Shakur's doing. Shakur is circling guys and making them, forcing them into decisions. That's what he's doing. Dude, it's to the point now. Like, I don't care who has the belts at 135. He's the guy at lightweight to me. Shakur is. I'm putting him number one at lightweight. I'm putting him number one.
Look, I agree. There's no doubt. But guess what? If you were to ask me, hey, if a Shakur and Tank negotiate a fight, and Shakur insists that Tank is going to ESPN to fight him, I would tell you, well, Shakur's smoking some shit. He needs to go over there.
Correct.
Why? Because we know who the draw is. It's the way it is, right? So I'm realistic. I am.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm pretty sure they could work out a deal with Shakur and ESPN if they really wanted to, right? If he wanted to make that fight, he could make that fight happen.
But why is nobody even discussing this? It's the absurdity that I talked about earlier. Why is nobody even discussing Tank versus?
We can't even get, look, bro. These PBC fighters are all holding out, but like you're gonna hold out as long as Al Heyman wants you to hold out. Right? Like right now, like think about it, bro. Canelo's had a 3-fight deal. One's out the bag. He's gonna fight Jermell, right? And then Crawford's already like putting his hat in the ring. Like he's already, I want to fight Canelo. And then and you already have people saying like, I actually prefer the fight with Crawford than Benavidez. It's a bigger fight actually. It will sell more on pay-per-view. Like bro, Benavidez might not even get the fight. And the PBC dudes, like, don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. If they don't give a fuck about you think they give a fuck about Shakur and not getting the fights? They don't give a shit about Shakur.
And it's the risk of marinating things, right? Is one of these fighters could lose, number one. I mean, who knows? Benavidez could lose the boo-boo if that fight comes off, right? Or bigger fights come about that come out of left field that you would have never expected to happen. Like I'm telling you, D-Style, if Canelo versus Bud is signed, just watch the reaction. And I'm like you, I think we're both this way. I'd rather see Canelo fight Benavidez as a boxing fan and Crawford fight Tim Tszyu. I'd rather that, or Mel move down and we can get that fight. Or if Crawford said, or Boots says, I want to move to 154, Crawford versus Boots. I'd rather see those fights, to be honest. But I'm telling you what the reaction is going to be. Canelo versus Bud would be the biggest draw fight in boxing. It just would. It would. Like, I'm sorry to break that to people. It would. Watch what the reaction to that fight, if it's signed, would be, and that's why I think it's more realistic than people think.
Yeah, but
that's my point as to why Benavidez, his team, when they're so passive, it's just an example of it because they're so passive in this whole Canelo thing.
Why would you, as Benavidez, if you're in Benavidez's team, right? If you're Benavidez, you're at 168 pounds, right? Why would he sign a multi-fight contract and assume, because Canelo's going to do it too with PBC, and just assume that's going to get you the fight? Why would you assume that?
On top of that, D-Style, here's where it gets better. Why would you watch fighters who are on your roster, who are lesser than you at 168? Why would you watch them jump you in the line and not make that call to your advisor and say, hey, wait a second, why am I not next? Why not? Just asking.
All I know is this. Kellex, I know you've been out for a while. You've been enjoying college football and out of town and spending time with the family, which is great. So I don't know how much time you had to look at X or Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Did you see the recent Benavidez Senior? You went at Canelo.
I did.
So he had, now, but here's the problem. One day you're praising Canelo and apologizing. The next day you're calling him all types of B words and P words. And you apologize again. Then you say, "Oh, I didn't mean to apologize. I apologize, hoping that would make the fight happen, but it didn't make it happen. So fuck him. Oh, but you know what? But I'm sorry because I went too far with what I said." Like it's all over the place, right? Like it's like too late at this point to talk yourself into the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, bro, they should have. I honestly feel this way. Like if he was a free agent, right? And they would have given Eddie a call and been like, "Look, we're not going to sign with the Zone unless it's a Canelo fight. But hey, talk to Canelo. Like maybe we can make the fight happen." I think it might have happened. They might have made that fight.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying. And even if it didn't happen, at least you tried, and you could actually go on record and say, "We talked to Eddie Hearn. We try to make a fight with Canelo over the Zone. He didn't want it." Right? You can actually say that, but you didn't. Instead, you say you're loyal to Al Heyman, right? Well, I hope Al Heyman is loyal to you. Is he? We're gonna see, bro. And now he's outgrowing the division too, bro. He looks really skinny in that plant weigh-in.
Yeah. And here's another thing. We're manufacturing boogeymen in two different ways. Number one, we keep guys on the gravy train and call them boogeymen and all this stuff, right? Monsters and padding their records. But the other way we're doing it is, look, do you consider Janabek and Hergovich boogeymen? I mean, how is it? Like, I watched Janabek fight. I'm like, all right, there must be something. How his peers are reacting to him? There must be something here. And then I watch him fight, and I was like, he's good. Like, do you think Janabek's good? And then I watch Hergovich fight, and I say, he's good.
Look, well, Calix, I did a video about.
But why are these guys? Why Hergovich went through 7 guys before somebody.
No, I hear what you're saying, but look, I did a video on YouTube must have been about 10 years ago. And the video is titled "There is no boogeyman in boxing," and I believe that. I don't believe there's a boogeyman in boxing. But if we're going to pick a boogeyman, it has to be someone who has multiple top fighters doing everything they can to not fight him, right? And the closest thing we've had to that is right now Shakur, and before that it was Crawford.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the reason, because there are guys that fought them, so we can't, like, you know what I mean? Valdez did fight Shakur, right? Mm-hmm. So like it is what it is. Like there are guys. Like Mean Machine got in the ring with Crawford. You know what I mean? Like Benavidez with 1 foot, like he got in the ring with Crawford. So he limped halfway through that fight, but he did it, right? And he still performed better than Spence. It is what it is, right? But I do agree with you overall. Like these guys are not boogeymen. Like they're not.
I watched Janabek fight, and at first I'm like, there's got to be something to it. Why is nobody wanting to fight this guy? And I watch him, and I'm like, that's it. Like he's good. He's a good fighter. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's a legit champion, but that's it. And I watch Hergovich, and I'm like, all right, this must be like the new heavyweight guy, right? Like the guy nobody wants to fight. And I watch him, and I'm like, that's it. I thought he lost to Zhang. Like this is it. This is the guy. And we're at a point where it's like, you're not going to fight Janabek. You're not going to fight Hergovich. Like, what are we doing here? What is this? What are we doing here? And then I'm watching this go on at lightweight to where major publications are still ranking Ryan Garcia when he hasn't fought in the division technically in almost 4 years. They're ranking Tank Davis in top 10 pound for pound list when he hasn't fought anybody. And then we're not even allowed. Like, I'm not even allowed to ask. I'm not even allowed to ask for Shakur versus Tank.
How dare you ask?
And it's gotten to the point where the publications don't even ask for it anymore. It's just like assumed. Like, yeah, why we got to put pressure on it. Here's how I'm going to put pressure on it. Until I see otherwise, Shakur's the guy at lightweight. And number 2, I'm just gonna keep asking for it. That's what I'm doing. And I'm gonna call out Tank for this padded record. That's what I'm gonna do. That's all I know how to do as a boxing fan. I
Gotta
have
call
no
them out.
power, right?
Look, boxing fans have power collectively. We don't have power by ourselves, which is why I always tell fans is collectively, let's demand what we want collectively. You know what I mean? Like, you're not helping anybody if you go against your own interests as a boxing fan at all. And that's what a lot of people have forgotten. You know what? You know who put a big smile on my face? We actually interviewed him. He was also on the roundtable. Roberto Diaz. Okay, when he told us, "Hey guys, at heart, yeah, I worked in the business and all that, but at heart, I'm a boxing fan. I want to see these fights. You know, that's what I am at heart. I started like what made me fall in love with the sport is that I was a fan. What made me love my job is that I was a fan of the sport, and he has no shame in saying that. And for whatever reason, being a fan has been like it. I don't know why, but it's become like a stigmatized term. I don't know if you know
because the dudes on videos like us, they want to be seen as higher than fans. They want to speak down to fans. They want to be seen as content creators or journalists. We're not that. We're just boxing fans.
I'm just a boxing fan, and I'm proud to say it. I have no shame in saying I'm just a boxing fan. None, right? But at the end of the day, that's what I am. Okay. At heart, it doesn't even matter, Kellis. Even though I do cover events, and I covered an event, I did Matagua and fuck, I forgot his name already. Gonzalez, right? And the Chavez Jr. and the Lee fight. I covered those fights, right? I was still a fan, bro. But that's it. I wasn't like, it didn't make me better than anybody or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I'm still the guy that when I was a teenage kid, I saw Fernando Vargas and like I wanted him to sign my glove, bro. Like, and I still have that glove. That's me. I'm still that guy. You know what I mean? I'm still a fan all day. And the only reason I'm saying this, we're supposed to be demanding or at least asking for the things and vocalize the things that are good for us. Fighters already have their managers.
We have nobody to speak for us anymore. We have nobody to speak for us anymore because those dudes have been brainwashed into looking out for the better interests of the fighters because they think that does better for them. They can get more interviews, number one, and they won't be seen as anti-fighter, right? They're sellouts at the end of the day, number one. But we have nobody to speak for us anymore.
Like, when you have an ego, like ego boxing, talking down to people and then like the same things like because you guys are dumb, you don't understand this is a business. Like, I mean, first of all, most of the people that say that have never made a dime or a nickel off of boxing. They've never been like Roberto Diaz doesn't talk like that. He understands the business. Why does he talk like that? Well, when I had Linden, right, he's been in the roundtable a couple of times. He's been a promoter, right? He was an Olympic boxer, right? And he promoted fights in Australia. He doesn't talk like that. He doesn't talk down to people. Why do you want to see that? You're an idiot. You don't know the business of boxing. Like we don't like. It's always content creators, bro. That's all it is, dude. Dudes that got a couple of like press passes, and now they think that like they know everything. All right. Look, boxing is a very small world, bro. Anyone who wants to get information in the boxing world can get it. It's not exactly like, a secret society. You know what I mean? Like boxing is. It's not. Like, it's a pretty open world, and it's a small world, the boxing world. You know what I mean? So all I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, I know a lot of you guys out there are boxing fans, and I know you want the fights. Okay? I'm saying this right now, guys. I'm not going to speak for Cal. I'm going to speak for myself, and Cal can follow up with whatever he wants. But I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. That's the fight I want. Because as a boxing fan, I believe that's a correct fight to make in the division. And that's a fight I want to see. That's why. I don't need any other reason. I don't need to open the books. I don't need to ask Al Heyman to see the numbers. Okay, I don't need to count numbers. I don't need to predict if it would sell more or less than other fights. I just know that's a fight I want. And it's the correct fight to make if you've been following that division for a while. That's a fight to make. It's a fight I want to see. And I think it's a big legacy fight for Canelo personally, in my opinion. And it's a dangerous fight. Although I'm confident Canelo wins, you never know about the gas tank, right? Canelo's getting up there in age. That's a fight I want to see. Why can't boxing fans, if you agree with that message, join me in trying to make those fights happen? That's all I'm saying.
So Devin Haney and Regis Prograis are supposedly going to fight December 9th in Oakland, and it ties into what we're talking about. I like that fight. I like it. But this is where nuance comes into play, right? Is it the best fight? Is it the most dangerous fight? Is it the biggest fight we can see for Devin Haney? I still think it's a good fight. He's moving up to 140. It's a title fight. You know, possibly we're reading too much into Prograis' performance against Zorilla. And 4 or 5 months ago, we would have said, that's a really dangerous fight for Devin Haney. I can't believe he's doing that. He's moving up to 140 and going after Regis Prograis straight off the bat. And that's why I give Devin Haney credit, because he is fighting the fights. However, there is nuance in this. There are some things to criticize Devin Haney over in his tactics. But the biggest thing I have to sort of put some cold water on this fight is, look, I like the fight. I do. I'm looking forward to it. Finally, it would be a big fight for Prograis. It's his chance, right? And there's no excuses. If you lose the fight, there's no excuses. You got to win this fight. It's a must win for him. He has to win this fight. But I'm looking at this fight on the face value, and I'm like, how is this a pay-per-view? How is this a pay-per-view? And how are we calling this the greatest year in modern boxing history? Yes, we're getting the fights, but everything comes with the added price tag. And when I say this, oh, look at Broke Boy with this Broke Boy stuff and the Broke Boy complaining about the Broke Boy stuff. It's like, dude, I'm just saying, you're creating a country club sport when you put, dude, I love Prograis. Love what's going on with him. He's from right here, right down the road. But he's not, dude, you're going to put him on pay-per-view? Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis on pay-per-view? Are you serious? Are you serious? And what am I getting out of this DAZN subscription? What am I getting out of, I don't watch anything outside of sports, so I'm not watching these Showtime shows. What am I getting from my Showtime subscription? Showbox sucks. Showtime Championship Boxing sucks. So I'm just paying for pay-per-views for my subscription. DAZN, I'm just paying for pay-per-views with my subscription. What comes along with my subscription? I'm forced to ask at this point. What comes along with the subscription?
You're 100% right. Look, you got no argument for me, Keller. I mean, I think you're right, but look, I like Haney Prograis, but this is Eddie Hearn's fault, bro. Let me tell you why it's Eddie Hearn's fault.
Go ahead.
When Eddie Hearn got his contract with DAZN, look, he was just overpaying a lot of dudes, bro. He was throwing money around like he was a dude with too much money on his hands. Like, just imagine a guy that was given $1 million and go, hey, go spend it at the strip club. Like that's what he was doing. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, you know what I mean? Like he needed a money gun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you seen like Batman '89 when Joker just throwing money around and he's like dancing and but it came with a price, right? Those damn balloons had fucking gas in it and shit. Okay, like it came with a price, bro. And Haney was one of those fighters, and it created a pretty bad situation. Like, and here's why. First of all, Haney was just getting paid way too much when there was nothing there. Now, one could say this. Well, Eddie was making an investment on a boxer that he felt could become like the next Floyd Mayweather, right? But it goes back to the example I've used before that I'm sure you're very familiar with because I've said it a million times. It's the Michael Jordan talking about guys getting paid before they prove it. They're paid off potential. right?
Right.
Once you start giving guys things just off of their potential, they never have to live up to the potential, or they're not incentivized to, right? So I'm not saying Haney didn't go for the brass ring, because he did, but here's what happened, Alex. Like, he was getting overpaid over there on the zone, fighting in half-empty arenas, and the guys walking around and making fun of other fighters like Tio that were not making what he was making. But so now you're creating this entitled situation, and then when he needs to take a pay cut to go fight Cambozas, because let's face it, Eddie didn't want to pay you that money anymore, and you were getting overpaid over there. He still got paid a lot of money to go fight Cambozas, and people act like he made this huge sacrifice. Like, oh, poor Haney. I mean, this poor guy had to just sacrifice so much to go fight Cambozas, a very winnable fight twice. Okay? I'm sorry, Calix. If I have 4 aces and I'm playing poker, right? And they tell me I got to play with my 4 aces twice in Australia, I'm good. I'll go do it in Australia. I got 4 aces. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what Devin Haney had. Like, nobody wanted to see the rematch, because we knew it was going to be another one-sided affair. So when they talk about I get some sacrifice, I appreciate the fact that he was willing to do it. That's more than a lot of PBC guys do, right? And he gets credit for doing it. But, like, spare me this whole, like, this poor guy, they have to call him, they call him an email champion. And you have to deal with that. And then they made him go to Australia. Like, they did to, like, come on, man. You have to go to Australia to fight a Spartan warrior in front of a Spartan crowd, bro.
You ever seen the clip? Have you seen the clip when Cambosos beats Tiafimo and Haney and his dad and the whole crew are just celebrating like the Super Bowl?
Well,
They knew.
Like,
They knew before anybody else did.
I see, like, the Native Americans were like, "Hey, yeah." They were like, yeah. Like, hey, I was like, is this Native American or what's going on? He's doing it. Yeah. That's
what anyway. It was they saw it before everybody else did. They saw it before we did. What that was. Yeah, we'll agree to whatever
they knew what that was. They knew it was what it was. They got paid what they got paid. They got paid a lot of money. Spare me if he made more fighting Linares. But you got overpaid to fight fucking Linares, okay? Ain't nobody show up to that fight. Nobody see that fight. No, nobody saw your fight with Gamboa. Like, oh, I made more fighting. Okay, but you were getting overpaid. But my point is this. This is my point, okay? My point is, I have Native American blood, by the way. I can make that joke. So put that out there. Saying. But my thing is this.
You got to pass?
Of course. Got to pass. What do you mean? My people, bro. But my point is, he was dancing around like he was dancing around a fire or some shit. Like, he was too excited, bro. Okay?
Yeah, they were.
Way too excited. And we knew why. We knew what that was about, brother.
I like Haney. I think I've rubbed some people the wrong way in my support of Haney and some of his moves as of recently. I like that he's taken some chances, especially Lomachenko. But maybe they thought Lomachenko was past it, right? And that almost backfired. And I like this fight. Look, I think it's a tough fight. Maybe they're looking at this. Maybe they know, just like they knew the Cambosos, maybe they know, look, Prograis can't cut off the ring. Dude, I watched it. I was front row there. I'm watching, and I'm like, how in the hell is Zorilla circling to your power hand the whole fight? And you can't cut him off. Dude, cut him off. He's circling the same way the whole fight. Zorilla literally circled the same way the whole fight. He didn't change the whole time. Like, this tactic was the same. And it was maddening to me. I was mad at Zorilla, but I was mad at Prograis too. It was like, dude, cut off the ring, please. Can you please cut off the ring? And he couldn't. So maybe they're seeing like, hey, we're just going to dance circles around this guy and jab him the whole fight. Maybe this is another strategic move, right? That's going to be seen as a risk, but it's strategic.
But here's my problem, Kelly.
I will say this, though, D-Style. I think we're going to see a much different Prograis in this fight than we saw.
I 100% agree with that, but here's the thing. I'm hearing rumble. Like, it's going to be on pay-per-view. This is the point I was going to make about the monster that Eddie created. Right? So now, in order to, like, obviously now he wants more money. He's the undisputed champion.
Right.
So you got to pay this guy so much money that it's going to have to be on pay-per-view.
Right.
Like, are you even going to make money off of this fight? That's what I want to know. Are you going to make money off of this fight?
The only way they can possibly make money is to put it on pay-per-view. That's it.
I mean, but will they even make money off it being on pay-per-view? Because, like, to me, it's such a bad look for them all around, bro. I think they're better off taking a loss in this fight and making the subscribers happy than pissing off the subscribers further, making them pay for it, even though we're already paying $25 a month for it, right? And then possibly taking a loss anyway, right? And far less people even see the fight.
Did you ever get credited for the pay-per-view
No.
that? And that's what I'm saying.
It's
and
pending.
people will call me. People will be on here calling me a Eddie Hearn nut hugger or whatever. We criticize them all the time on here. They should be putting these fights. What am I getting from my DAZN subscription? What am I getting from my DAZN subscription?
All the people that are always a fanboy or fanboy, they're fanboys. Just because they say they're not doesn't mean they're not. Like you could see patterns with them, and they act a certain way with certain fighters versus others. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, the zone is in shambles right now, bro. Like it's just not in a good place. It just isn't.
Well, I think they're going to have an active fourth quarter in fairness. But here's the thing. If they put like Berlanga on pay-per-view, like if they do that cross-promotion fight with Golden Boy, Berlanga versus why is it slipping my mind right now? Mexico versus Puerto Rico, Berlanga versus Munguia. They do that fight and they put it on pay-per-view. It's like, good Lord, you're putting Berlanga versus Munguia on pay-per-view. Really? Is that what you're going to do? But I would not put it past them at this point. I wouldn't put it past
here's the thing, Showtime. If they're going to become a pay-per-view app and then make the app free or lower the price, bro. Like, it's not like, think about it, bro. That's why I'm saying they're in shambles. Like, they're between a rock and a hard place. You can't be charging $55 for a pay-per-view, but be charging $25 a month.
Like, do you think that Benavidez versus Boo Boo, that's not a pay-per-view, but it's gonna be? That's what I'm saying. Like, Benavidez versus Boo Boo, really? You're gonna put that on pay-per-view? And they are.
Here we are, bro.
We are. And I can't criticize.
We need it to fail. I know that sounds horrible.
When I said that last year, boy.
Woo. No. Like I do like Haney Prograis is a good fight. I want to make sure people understand that. But we should be getting it part of our. It should be part of our DAZN subscription. They owe it to us.
Just
they owe it to people. Yeah, like take the fucking loss and make your customers happy, bro.
On the surface, though, you like that fight, right? It's a good fight.
Of course, I like the fight. And you know what? I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I'm going to end up buying it, right? But because I'm a boxing fan and I want to see the fight. But I know that what I'm buying is not worth the sticker price. It just isn't. Like, it's not worth what they're charging me for it. And I know it's going to flop, bro. I know they're going to lose money. So if you're going to lose, like, I just think they owe it to the boxing fan to just give us the fucking fight. It should be part of our subscription, right? Because if you send a message that this is the type of fights we're going to deliver for you guys, then more people stay subscribed. They're just going to piss people off and they're going to start unsubscribing, bro. And they're going to start losing money off the back end. That's what's going to happen. So here's the thing. And once again, nuance, because we're going to be seen as complaining about that fight, but I like the fight. And here's a little, it's where I get myself in trouble again, because look, it doesn't do me any good to praise Haney in any way. It just doesn't. But I got to do it. I don't think he's as boring as people make it out to be. He's as boring as his competition allows him to be. That's the best way I could put it. When he fought Kambosos,
those two fights, God, that was boring. The second fight, I just turned it off. It was like third round. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing
Like,
this again.
he's
Why in
a
the hell they
boring
do
fighter,
this?
bro. Like, he's a boring fighter. I'm sorry.
No, but yeah, he wants to be boring. You're right. And if you allow him to be boring, he's gonna bore the hell out of you. That's exactly right. But he has been shown, all these people out there calling him a technical wizard, dude. I'm telling you, fighters have shown they can speed him up. Linares sped him up. Jojo Diaz sped him up a little bit. And Lomachenko, we saw that. Lomachenko sped him up. Prograis has, if he can cut off the ring, if he does not fight like he did against Zorilla, it's a wild card. What Prograis are we going to get in this fight? And who knows? Are we going to get the super duper weight drain Prograis? 140 drain it. If so, that's his fault. He shouldn't have stuck around that long. But if we get anywhere close to the Prograis from 2019, 2021, I'm telling you,
he can't land jabs on southpaws, bro. He can't.
He can't land jabs on southpaw. He's gonna speed Haney up. So all these people just saying, "Oh, Haney's gonna jab and hold Prograis to death." Just be careful. Be careful with that because Prograis can speed him up. He does have that style and he has power. He has thudding power. He can get low and he can get inside that Devin Haney jab. And I'm the wild card here too is, and I've told you this, about a year and a half. I don't think Haney's going to translate well to 140. I just never felt that way. I
tell you what's going to happen with Haney, bro. I think I don't know if he's going to win this fight or not. I haven't decided yet. I think it's up in the air, to be honest. I'm not convinced this is an easy win for Haney. I'm just not. But here's the deal. I think this pay-per-view is going to flop. It's probably not going to be an exciting fight. I question how many people are actually going to be in attendance. But I think the pay-per-view for sure is going to flop.
You don't think it could do 10,000?
I don't know, but the pay-per-view is going to flop.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe because he's from there, and then like I don't know. It just depends. Like Eddie doesn't do promotion like Top Rank, bro. He doesn't.
Yeah,
we talked about this. Eddie's all over. Eddie's going to be in England a week before the fight. He's going to show up on Thursday and think that that's promoting. I mean, Eddie, you can't be all over the place like that and like properly do the groundwork for Top Rank is better at that in the US, right?
Do you get this?
But I don't want to. I was digressing, but I don't want to lose this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, I just feel that I'll finish in a moment. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, do you get this vibe too? Because that's the vibe I get. Like, I like what's going on with Haney. He's got undisputed. We can't take that away from him. He was number one. He was the guy at lightweight. Now he's moving up. He's moving up and fighting a top guy at 140. I like what's going on with him, but it does feel like there's a lot of strategy involved in that he's sort of on borrowed time at this point. That at some point, the wheels are going to fall off, and the truth is going to start to come out with this guy. And laws. We talked about this all the time. Like, losses aren't the end of the world, but Haney at the same time is being billed as this top 10 pound for pound guy.
This is why I wanted you to.
Do you think he's that? Like, do you think?
Yeah. Like, I figured you were going with that, and that's why I wanted you to say that because what I'm about to say kind of goes perfect with that. Look, I do think he's on borrowed time. Okay, like Chicano, I think he's running out of time. I think people have seen what they want to see with Haney. All right. And the reason I know that, bro, some of the predictions I was hearing for Haney versus Loma were baffling to me. Like, oh, he's going to outbox Loma easy, 12-0. And it's going to be 10-2 on the scorecard. And Loma's not going to be, he's going to outclass him. He's going to take him to school. And I was just hearing these predictions. I'm like, I mean, he could win, but you think he's gonna like outclass Loma? Like, bro, they were predicting him to beat Loma like in a way he didn't even beat JoJo in. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, what? And then the JoJo fight, like, that was a tough fight, bro. He couldn't land a jab in that fight. He had look up if anybody gets a chance. It's very low. Look up how many jabs he landed against JoJo. It's really bad, bro. It's not a good ratio. And I believe Jojo was landing. And then people, I remember Twitter that day, they were like, Haney's just trying to make it exciting for the fans. He could fight a more defensive fight and make it a lot easier for himself. Yeah. No, Haney, if he can, will bore you to death.
Yeah.
When he can't do it no more, it does get more exciting. He is not the second coming of Floyd Mayweather. He's not. This dude is the second coming of Corey Spinks. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what he is, bro. I've been telling people this for a while.
And that's not disrespect either. Corey Spinks, really good fighter. Yeah. Titleist. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not special, but you're surviving the last few rounds against Linares, bro. A special fighter doesn't survive the last few rounds with Linares. And I like Linares. Linares is a really good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a guy you survive. If you're special, that you survive with. Okay? And let's be honest, he doesn't want, and his fans know this because they don't want that Shakur smoke. They don't want the Shakur fight. They just don't. They don't want the fight. Listen to them. Well, he needs to go do all the sacrifices that he did. He was getting called email champion, and he went to Australia, and he took a small 25%, which he didn't, right? He did all the sacrifice. When is Shakur going to do sacrifices? Well, what is this? What are you talking about? What sacrifice has he done? He's been overpaid his whole fucking career. Like objectively speaking, that's true. I'm not even mad at the guy for it, but like spare me the sacrifices talk. Like spare it. I'm sorry. All right. He can draw a good gate. Okay. This is not what forget about the numbers. Like what type of gate are we looking at with him and Haney? I'm sorry, and Prograis. 2 million or 1 million less?
1.5, 2 million, I would think. Yeah.
That's the type of gate we're talking about. Like, so
maybe.
I mean, I'm sorry. Tank is doing 5 million at the gate before he fought Ryan. So we're talking like business, and like I can't take that away from Tank. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's a Bud Crawford campaign being run against Shakur Stevenson right now?
Yes, 100%.
Because that's what it seems like to me. Like it's coming from all angles, right? It particularly from Haney Tank fans, like we saw from, say, Arrow fans at 147. It's like, we can't give this guy any kind of praise. We're not going to do that. Anything that this dude does, we're going to be highly critical of, while not being critical at all of our fighter.
I'm telling you what's going to happen, Calix. And I think the reason he went to go do a deal with the Zone, he knows he's not going to get paid that type of money by Arum again unless he fights a Shakur or rematches Loma. That's it. You know what I mean? And the reality is this, Calix, if he let's say he wins again, and it's like a boring ass fight. Because to me, I can honestly say he's a boring fighter. I'm sorry. I know. Oh, don't say that. It's not boring. It's whatever, right? I'm saying it's my opinion, but let's see who wins that way, and it doesn't sell any pay-per-view. Well, they're not going to pay him again. They're not going to keep paying this dude that type of money, bro. Like they're not. They're taking a chance that maybe Prograis wins, right? Or that maybe his stock has risen since he became undisputed champion. He was on ESPN. He fought Lomachenko. So they're hoping maybe some of that could translate into like the pay-per-view in the Zone. But what happens after that, Calix?
Well, here's the thing. I was about to say that is the Haney team, they've been playing this market to where it's smart. And it's smart if you win or you're entertaining, which he's not the second thing. But he is the first thing. He's winning. He's got titles. Is you do short-term contract, come back to negotiation table. Short-term contract, negotiation table. 1 to 2 fight deal, possibly a 3-fight deal, negotiation table. But what happens when you lose? And what happens if you're not entertaining and still winning, and Matchroom says we can't keep footing this bill, and then he comes back to negotiation table and it's one less power broker there, is you're not going to have those same offers coming in. So that's why I say it seems like he's sort of on that borrowed time to where eventually this is going to stop at some point. The money is not going to be what it was. The losses are going to start.
You know what Floyd had? You know what Floyd had? First of all, Floyd was exciting at 130, 135. That's number one. You know what I mean? Floyd's performance against, I mean, I'm sorry, your guy Gotti, was, I mean, that was a destruction. Haney doesn't do that to guys. You know what I mean? But even at 147, where he was called boring, and but you know what it was? He was a draw. Right? Tank Davis pisses us off, but he's a draw.
Yeah.
And then everyone, bro, listen to everybody. Leonard Allerby, hey, well, why don't you do Haney versus Tank? We're not gonna pay that dude what they were paying him over there on that app. He ain't worth that money, and he's gonna want more money. He don't draw shit. So you already have that side saying that. You already have Tank saying this guy doesn't draw anything. You already have Aram. It's like, well, I'm not gonna pay you that type of money, unless you find my guy Loma again or Shakur, right? And then I don't think Eddie and the zone are gonna do it again if this event flops. You're right. He's running out of options. Okay. And he's either going to get blackballed and he's going to become too expensive when no one can. He's going to have to either go independent and do independent pay-per-views, I guess, right? With some obscure app or something, try to hustle somebody else out of money.
Roy Jones,
or he's going to have to play ball. He's going to have to do something like a fight a Shakur, or he's going to have to do something like a rematch Lomachenko. He's going to have to do something like fight some of these guys, maybe fight a Teofimo Lopez at 140 pounds.
I got news for people too, D-Style, is these dudes who think that they'll be able to skate around Shakur Stevenson forever. It's actually going in the opposite direction for Shakur. That trend over time, I believe, is they're going to have to see him, because if they do the smart thing, they're putting him in Vegas in November. I think that's a bad move. Maybe they expected a bigger fight. I don't know. But since that fight's not coming to fruition, they wanted to do it before the race, the Grand Prix that weekend in Vegas. Fair enough. Put him back in Newark. Put him back in front of 11,000 people, and keep growing that number, right? The Jared Anderson move. Jared Anderson, just keep him fighting. And I'm telling you, people are going to eventually be drawn to him, and he'll continue to accumulate belts, hell or high water, vacant or unifications. And it's going to happen. Eventually, they're going to have to see him. And I got bad news for you Tank fans out there, the Devin fans out there, the super fans, because, I like Devin, but the super fans out there who think that you're going to be able to skate around Shakur forever. It's not going to happen. That guy is not going anywhere, and he's not going to lose anytime soon.
I'll tell you what happened, Kellex. Speaking of Joe Habib, I had a conversation with Joe Habib about this, and I agree. We both kind of agreed. There's always going to be differences of opinion, but I had this conversation with him, and this is what I believe. The market always has a way of doing a self-correction. Always. The market always corrects itself. Always. At some point, think about everything that's happened that can't happen anymore, right? So, look, eventually the Saudi money is going to run out. The Saudis are they're spending a lot of money in all these sports, and look, eventually that money is going to be no longer a thing. Okay, that's number one. But here domestically, the zone used to throw around money like nothing, bro. They were over. They paid. I still can't believe it, but they paid Garcia $7 million to fight Vargas. I'm thinking about Mikey. That's insane, bro. That's crazy, right? Yeah. And then they were paying Haney $2 million a pop or more. It was crazy what they were paying Haney. And then the opponents, they were getting Linares $1 million to fight Haney. They were spending $4 million on a fucking Haney fight. Obviously not making money off of it, in my opinion, right? But
how would they make money off that?
Yeah. So what happened? What they're getting more strict with Eddie. You know what I mean? They're like, well, I don't know, Eddie. I know you have the money gun, but
Linares is out there begging, literally begging for any fight.
Yeah, you have dudes doing that, and then look at the biggest example is PBC. PBC at one point they had all the three major networks. That's Spike TV, If you remember, they had Fox FS1. They had, I know I'm forgetting somebody else, but they had several networks. And slowly that money ran out, right? The Spike TV was gone. CBS stopped doing fights. Now they just
CBS,
stick to, they just stick
Fox.
to, ABC stopped doing fights. They had a big debut on ABC.
Remember when they had Al Michaels calling fights, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, no, we can't afford him. Yeah, we can't do that.
yeah, all that, right? Like they had all this money to spend. All these guys were making a lot of money. And I'm a pro fighter. I support the fight. I don't care if they don't deserve it. I'll give them all the money they want. Yeah, like guess they run out of money, guys.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you just throw money around. Like, you know what I mean? They all deserve it. Yes, let's do it. Like, you ran out the credit card. You hit the limit. So now, and then look at all the after effects. You got
the Waddle and Reed money's gone now.
Like on the zone side, you have Lanadas begging for fights. You got Haney. Now they got to put them on pay-per-view because they don't want to have them regular because they want to at least try to subsidize some of the money. Okay, on PBC side, you have Keith Thurman won't accept any fights. He wants to get paid what he was making when he fought like Garcia because in his mind, well, you paid me this much to fight Danny Garcia. If you want me to fight fucking Spence, you got to pay me more. You look at Andy Ruiz. You got to pay me more. I mean, look, I fought a certain level, and after you beat that guy, you get paid more, guys. I mean, come on, guys. Like 10 million. Yeah, pay me my 10 million, and I'll fight them, guys. When you beat somebody, these people are stupid. You beat somebody, you get paid more. That's how it works. Okay, well, that's why you don't overpay motherfuckers, because then they want more when you want them to take a challenge. If you paid them so much to fight Arreola, you want to pay them the same to fight Wilder. He's like, oh, so I'm going to get my brain scrambled by a right hand by Wilder. But you paid me the same to fight Arreola. Like, I want more. Give me more money. I deserve more. Come on. You when you win, you move up, guys. Like, I won. So I get paid more. Like, did you see that video, by the way?
Yeah.
He'll say, wait, at a certain level, you win, you get paid more. Come on, guys, duh. That's not Look, in a perfect world, we would reward risk or like risk. We would pay guys more to take risk. But that's not the world we live in. That's not the sport of boxing, right?
Yeah.
We pay guys based on what he generate, or we should, right? Anyway, my point is the market is self-correcting itself. And you know what is happening, Calix? They're not subsidizing. The market is no longer in the business of subsidizing fighters anymore. They're done with it. The zone's done with it. Even PBC, even if they wanted to, they don't got the money for it. That's why they're putting everything on pay-per-view, bro.
They're still subsidizing it because they're pushing it off on the fans right now because anything...
Well, yeah, we've become this. I get what you're saying, but I guess what I'm saying is that's why we need to pay for these pay-per-views because these guys are asking for way too much fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why we would say something. People think we're aliens and we have multiple heads when we say something like, I hope the pay-per-view market fails. I hope these pay-per-views fail. They see it as anti-fighters, but what we're saying is, dude, do you want to keep paying this type of money for Benavidez versus Boo Boo? Dude, I love Prograis, but Haney versus Prograis not a pay-per-view fighter. And if he is, like, it better be against a pay-per-view A side. He's a pay-per-view B side against a pay-per-view A side, but there's no pay-per-view fighter on that card.
Haney's not look, I got paid this much, right? And I won. So now I get paid more. Like I get more money. Like come on. Like give me my 10 million. You know what I mean? Like I like to fight Wilder. Like this is stupid, bro. Like I'm sorry. But you know what? It's hard to blame the fighters. Like it's hard to blame. Like I still blame them, but it's hard to blame Thurman because in his mind it's like, well, my market value was up here, right? Like you guys were paying me this much. Why are you offering me this much now?
Yeah.
Like, well, you're not in the same position anymore, Thurman. And PBC is not in the same position anymore. And then when they did put you on pay-per-view so we could subsidize it, we didn't subsidize it. Right? And that's where the market self-corrects, Calix. If we don't pay for it, then they see what their value really is. Okay. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. Okay. And that's why they needed a Canelo. And that's why, because he's going to help subsidize all those undercard fighters. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to, when there's a pay-per-view star like Canelo, right? You're supposed to stack the card, and you're supposed to subsidize them with the money the pay-per-view star is making, because you'll reward us, the customer, to create return customers so we could keep buying pay-per-views. Don King understood that concept, but I'm always told, but Don King was corrupt. Yeah, he did a lot of good things, but he was corrupt. Well, guess what? These dudes are still corrupt, but they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Give me the corrupt dude that was giving me stacked cards over the corrupt motherfucker that don't give a shit, bro.
That's the best you're going to
get. And one last point. Boxing fans are so obsessed with what the fighters make over them getting the fights. Like, they care more about what these fighters make, right? These fighters don't give a fuck about what you do for a living, what you make. They don't call your boss to tell them that you deserve a raise, right? Well, when's the last time Tank Davis called your boss to demand that you get a raise? Has done that? I never seen Tank Davis tweet out that McDonald's workers should make more money, right, to flip burgers and shit. I never heard him say that. I never heard Tank Davis say that, I went to Walmart. These guys are working hard, man. You should pay them more money. Like, they don't say that. I never seen these boxers go out of their way to advocate for coaches like Christine to make more money. Like, oh, Christine deserves more money. She's working the mitts all day. She deserves more money. Pay her more money. Like, I never, but boxing fans be advocating for these dudes and what they make, to the point that they start making fun of other sports. Like, they look at UFC fighters making $1 million, like Adesanya, bro, he's only making $1 million. These guys don't make anything. Our boxers make good money. Like, and you know what? The UFC fans don't give a fuck. These UFC fans don't care that Adesanya made $1 million. Okay, but have you seen Adesanya? He looks fine. Okay, I think he's living a good life. I think he's good. Okay, enough's enough, bro. Okay, look at the sport as a whole. What good is one guy making tens of millions of dollars if you have guys on undercards making $4,000 and then they break even because they got to pay their cut man and their manager and their trainer, and a lot of guys have second jobs. Like, well, what good is it if it's only going to a very few amount of fighters, all that money? Yeah. What good is it? So at the end of the day, I would rather, and I remember I asked this to Roberto, and he gave such a great answer. I said, Roberto, isn't it better to pay 10 guys $1 million to give us 5 great fights than pay one guy $9 million to fight some other dude for $1 million in a fight nobody wants to see? Right? Wouldn't that be better? Because you would have 10 millionaires now, right? But we would have, and then we get 5 fights we want. And I'll never forget, he said, yeah, like, look, if there was this big name amateur he wanted too much, I would rather invest in 10 other amateurs, right, that I have to pay a lot less to, because I'd rather have a chance with those 10 than with this one guy, right? Boxing needs to stop putting all the marbles onto one spot, right? And we need to start investing more across the board at the end of the day. There's a lot of fighters out there that would kill to have a $100,000 payday that they're waiting to get. And they'll give us a great fight for it, right? Start finding those fighters, start giving us great fights. That's what's going to bring back great fights, and that's what's going to help the sport overall. So that's all I got.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back behind the microphone. I will be back tomorrow, pretty much every day this week. Back to normally scheduled programming this week. And D-Style, appreciate you swinging through, and we'll be over on your channel at some point this week as well. And it's good to be back. HCPX. Y'all make sure if you're watching this in the archive to hit those like buttons and leave
and follow us on our app X that Elon Musk named after us. Yeah. You know what I mean? So at D-Style Boxing on X. Check you guys out there.
See y'all tomorrow. Peace. God bless.